Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go! Do you have absolute certainty on how you go from hello to yes on what you're looking for?
Sean is a master. He teaches. It's not just about sharing the formula with you. It's about making sure that we learn.
I went from $100,000 in debt from law school to having no money and starting my own law firm on my credit card to selling it 4 years later.
Sean and I, we co-created massive victories in 2 unwinnable jury trials, which are recognized nationally now as top 100 jury verdicts.
To be even on the same track with you, who I respect and admire and love with all my heart.
Never again submit. You're not better and you're not less than any human on earth.
When you shared with us about the unblinded process and the mastery sales training, I just went, wow.
Sean will gain proximity to the most influential and powerful people. He will find out how he can grow their business, how he can help them personally. But the third thing that he does is the most important. Sean serves without an expectation of getting anything in return.
You have very, very high-performing colleagues.
22 years ago, you transformed my life as you did all these people's lives over the course of time. And I couldn't be more grateful. Let's hear it for Tony Robbins.
I don't see him as a lawyer, and I don't see him as a blind person. Someone who has subjugated his ego, who has taught me what serving really looks like.
You have this incredible ability to just have unconditional love for everyone, and that is just an incredible gift.
The moment you have been waiting for.
The American Blind Association is the first new face and voice of that association since Helen Keller.
Formula bore formulas, which is exactly what I've learned from Sean. It's a language-based predictable model. We will have over 300 new sales meetings this month.
This superpower in the world that is attainable for you is the ability to influence people. If you believe that, say yes. If you believe that, say yes. Do you think that worked?
Hello.
Hello, Gina Ricci. How are you?
Hello. I am amazing. How are you guys?
Great. We are in the epicenter of health, cutting edge technology. I'm actually getting an IV and sitting next to a genius man, which we'll come to in a second. But Gina Ricci, what's happening?
Well, we have these incredible folks here today, Sean. And would you tell us what this is all about?
Yes, this is about the superpower of influence. And this is about how we as people come together. Like we could be at Capitol Grill having dinner, a fine restaurant, we might be having lunch. We could do a whole bunch of different things. But instead, we're playing with the superpower of influence with the man to my right. This makes a lot of sense today because what we're talking about is how do you bring truth forward? The truth of how things work. How does business acceleration work? How does management, leadership, recruiting, fundraising for profit, not for profit? How does even our human body work? How do we bring truth forward? That's the name of the game. And we've gamified it with extraordinary people to have some fun. So I also have a co-host sitting to my left who doesn't have an IV in her arm because she had hers already.
I did.
And so this is the one and only Bella Verita. This woman started selling crafts on her front lawn as an 8-year-old, progressed to being a 7-figure earner in the space of network marketing as a teenager. And then became that number 5, 2, 3, or 4. But actually, the number one, numero uno, think about how hard that is. Business broker in the state of Nevada at the ripe young age of 24. First woman ever to do it. First youngest person ever to do it. And now she speaks on stages all over the country and the world, making magic happen. We might be going to Tomorrowland next month. I didn't even know what that was, but it's some festival in Europe that we'll be speaking at. And most importantly, every business this woman worked with in 2019 doubled their sales. That's who she is. The one, the only co-host of Real Raw, Bella Verita. Let's hear for Bella. We have all those cheering, adoring fans that are actually here in the Tenon Institute. They're right behind us. But Gina Ricci is here with us today.
First up, joining us from Springfield, New Jersey. She's a who's who of Cambridge, founder and managing partner of Daly and Associates, acting attorney, mediator, arbitrator. She's the president of American Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers of New Jersey. And she's a super lawyer, top 50 women lawyers. And Sean, she's also a Seton Hall alum. Let's all please welcome Carolyn Daly to the Heart of Influence.
Carolyn, I'm only clapping with one hand because I have an IV in my other arm. But Carolyn, thank you for being here today. How are you doing?
Good. I'm great.
Awesome. And Carolyn, Seton Hall may ask a question. Did you ever have Professor Michael Reisinger for evidence at Seton Hall?
I did.
Oof. And how was your experience with the one and only Professor Reisinger?
Oh, it was good. It was challenging.
Yeah, he's a little nutty.
I did prefer Professor Francesi in property.
Beautiful. Yeah, I mean, Professor Reisinger was a little bit of a loose cannon, crazy person. I say that in fun energy because actually my uncle through marriage. So I love him and love him dearly. But he's one funny, crazy, intense dude, Yale and Harvard, cred background. And what is your fun fact for today? Something we might not expect to hear otherwise about you. Be like, no way.
Oh, so my fun fact for today is I play with fire.
Nice. How do you play with fire?
I'm a glass blower.
Whoa. Wow. What's the thing that you're most proud of or had the most fun in blowing glass? Like, what'd you make?
I am pretty good at making pumpkins.
Ooh, wow, I love pumpkins. Happy Halloween. And most importantly, what's the mission, vision, purpose? If you could change one thing about the state of family law, what would that be?
The system itself.
I don't know if this is interesting or not. Or have you, and I don't know where you'd stand on it and all the beautiful dynamics, but have you heard about any of these of Jacqueline Franchetti, Kira's law just passed in New York? Jacqueline had her daughter murdered in a custody battle where her husband ended up getting custody and murdering her daughter. And I'm not asking you for a public opinion on it, but have you heard about any of these sort of dynamics about some of these issues?
I'm familiar with Kira's law.
Well, I'd love to have an offline conversation at some point related to it. But I mean, certainly feel free to say anything during the show if you feel like it. That's great. This is a free, uncensored environment, which don't want to put anybody on the spot. But really, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Right. Let's hear it. Yes. So Gina, who else is here?
Joining us from Georgia, this woman is dear friends with Gerald Barnes. She has created billions of dollars for Fortune 50 companies, worked at more than 5,000 startups, and taught personal finance at university level. She realized women only have 3% of all funding and is building a movement to close the wealth and entrepreneurial gender funding gap for women business owners. So let's all please welcome Cheryl Hubbard to the Heart of Influence.
Hey, Cheryl, any friend of Gerald Barnes is a friend of ours. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so, Cheryl, if you could cause one thing to become clear to people to shift the 3% of all funding going towards women, what would that yes be that you would create in the world that you think would be the tipping point domino to change that dynamic?
Oh, goodness. What would be the tipping point?
What truth would you want people to know? What truth?
What would I want them to know? I don't see how the same application can be different from one person to another or one gender to the other.
That is a beautiful statement. I don't think anything could encapsulate it better. And what's a fun fact about you, Cheryl? Something to be like, Cheryl, no way.
Well, I'm going to play with Miss Daly there. My first business as an entrepreneur, as an adult, was a wedding chapel in Atlanta.
Whoa!
And, yes, and we just like Vegas, and the Atlanta Journal-Constitution did a 2-page spread in the Sunday newspaper in color when they were not even doing color in the newspaper at the time. So
that is super fun. Did you make sure you did not like marry people after 2 a.m.?
Well, I didn't get anybody at 2 a.m. but I did get,
I might have been to a Vegas wedding chapel in my life after 2 a.m. That may have happened in my life at some point.
And you were married?
I did not get married in it. I might have had a friend of mine and I thought it'd be fun to go do at like 4 o'clock in the morning, but we had a little bit too much to drink and they refused to perform any ceremonies. They said, come back when you've had less to drink, which is probably a good idea.
That is a very good idea. Yeah. So Cheryl, thank you so much for being here and for what you stand for in the world. We're gonna have some fun today. So thank you.
Next up, joining us from Holmdel, New Jersey. He's a CPA Assurance Partner at Cohn Reznick, has been there for 15 years, public accounting experience, and he's a member of the firm's Public Company Audit practice. Let's all please welcome Jesse Stoop to the Heart of Influence.
Thank you.
Jesse, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
You don't have an IV in your arm, do you?
No, not today.
Okay, excellent. So Jesse, what's your fun fact?
My fun fact is I have an identical twin brother that's also a CPA in the state of New Jersey. So sometimes he might think you're me, and it's not. So we're good at confusing people. So
beautiful. And if you had one thing that you'd like business owners to know about utilizing masterful CPA services that they wouldn't sort of otherwise be present to, what would that be?
I think it's just be open to the conversation. You know, sometimes people want to, just try to take it all into themselves, but sometimes just bouncing ideas how somebody can spark an interest, or have you considered this, have you considered that? It's okay to reach out and just have a conversation. I think open communication is always the best way to do it. So being comfortable having a conversation and just saying, this is what I'm trying to work towards, this is something I'm considering, leads to open, honest communication that can open up dialogue and ways to get there maybe on an easier path than previously thought or considered.
Awesome. Well, Jesse, thank you for being here. And we're going to Gina.
Joining us from Cranford, New Jersey, managing principal of an accounting firm ranked by Inside Public Accounting as a top 400 firm, 30 years of experience, member of the New Jersey Society of CPAs and Commerce and Industry Association of New Jersey. Let's all please welcome John Gagliardi to the Heart of Influence.
John, how are you?
Doing well.
Awesome. So John, what is your fun fact?
I don't know how fun, but I guess back when newspapers were a little more common, the Star Ledger had a homemade winemaking contest, and I wound up in second place in the state, which was pretty cool.
That is super cool. Did you like come in second to Gary Vaynerchuk?
No, came in second to a wine school, somebody that was starting a wine school. So I suspect there was some pre-planning there as far as
little shenanigans present. Little shenanigans present. And so, and what's your mission, vision, purpose in the world now?
What's my mission? Basically, our firm has been around for 78 years, and I am pretty much laser focused at this point on succession. So.
Awesome. Beautiful. And when you say succession, what do you
keep the firm going? Keep the firm going, and grow from within.
Yeah. And how many folks do you have at the firm?
Between the two offices, we have one in Midtown, probably about 75 people right now.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you for being here today, and we're gonna have a good time. Awesome. G-Money.
Last and certainly not least, also from Georgia, strategic alliances and sales leader with 30 years of experience, currently partner manager in accounting services, serving the Northeast CPAs. And Sean, she was a 14-year executive at ADP with multiple national awards. Let's all please welcome Carrie Blanks to the Heart of Influence. Woo!
Carrie, thank you for being here. How are you?
I'm great.
Awesome. And what is your fun fact?
My first fun fact is, now that I know that John makes wine, he's my new BFF.
Awesome.
But no, I would say, you said, I had a 14-year career at ADP and now work as a partner manager, but my passion is actually mentoring young female leaders. So continue to do that in a couple different organizations. So spend most of my time helping young women, Cheryl, as you said, like believing in themselves enough to know they can get funding if they want to be an entrepreneur, but just helping them navigate some of the things that female leaders come across that our male counterparts don't necessarily see. So that's my passion.
Awesome. Well, appreciate that as a father of 3 daughters and appreciate you being here today.
Of course.
Thank you. And then I guess what I'd love to do is introduce the gentleman to my right. This is Dr. Jerry Tennant, who, when I had I surf, I run, I lift, and do all kinds of adventurous, crazy things. I am blind, but I'm super active. I ski double black diamonds. And in October of last year, I had an aortic dissection, which for those that don't know, when I went to the hospital, I had a 33% chance of dying with an aortic dissection. And I went from, wow, my stomach really hurts to, yeah, don't move. And we're going to ship you off from Pascack Valley Hospital in Westwood to Hackensack Hospital, like crazy trauma, all sorts of things. And so I've had the privilege of speaking on Tony Robbins' stage 15 times now. And I speak all sorts of different places. And Tony Robbins' body worker is a dear friend of mine and works on my body, James Bowman. And his exact words to me were, you got to go see Dr. Tennant, because if Dr. Tennant could bring Tony Robbins back from the dead, then he can help you. Because Tony had some very serious health problems in 2019 with mercury poisoning and other things that he talks about publicly. I'm not revealing any confidences. And so I came to see Dr. Tennant, and he said something that was totally nuts to me. He's like, you know what? This is going to be fine in 6 weeks. My vascular doctor, top guy at Valley Hospital and another physician surgeon in New York, told me that we're going to be friends forever, that dissections don't heal themselves. I was in ICU for 3 days. I didn't have surgery. And they said, this is going to be something to monitor, and eventually you're going to have the surgery. So I did all Dr. Tennant's protocols, did all the things. 6 weeks later, I get my CAT scan, and I'm actually here in Dallas for the second time for a follow-up with Dr. Tennant. And my vascular surgeon calls me and says, I don't know what to tell you. He said, but you're completely healed. He goes, I've never seen anything like this. I don't even know how to explain it. Stephanie, you heard the phone call where I had tears pouring down my face. So I just happened to be here getting my treatment during the Real Raw, and Dr. Tennant was here. And I just wanted to introduce him for a second and say, Dr. Tennant, thank you for saving my life, for saving the lives of so many people. P.S. I know people from that community world that had cancer at most advanced stages, had been given 5% chance or less. Some were terminal. That were actually here at Dr. Tennant's clinic. He's a medical doctor, but does an incredible array of holistic things. That's not the purpose of being on the show today, but it happened to be here. And I thought I would honor him and say, Dr. Tennant, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And if you had one thing, Doc, that you'd like people to know about their health, I think I know it would be what genre it would be in, but what do you think that people do not understand about the human body and health that you work on, and why you're able to do what you do and so much of traditional medicine doesn't do what it needs to do?
Well, I think it's all about the voltage in the body. It turns out that the body is pretty much an electronic device. And like all electronic devices, it has to have power to work. And so what you find is in all chronic disease, that the power supply to the organ that's failing, the power supply is failing. And you have to put the power supply back on and recharge it, because if the body has adequate voltage and adequate parts to make new cells, it never forgets how to heal itself.
And the first time I ever heard Dr. Tennant speak, he was talking in front of 15,000 people. And it was on a Sunday, and I was like half paying attention, and I'm like, whoa, this is incredible. So it is an honor and privilege to be here today with you. I couldn't thank you enough for what you've done. And when I was talking to my children on October 15th, lying in the hospital bed with tears pouring down my face, thinking that this could potentially be the end of my life, as I was thinking I was about to be rushed into emergency surgery, I can't believe that I'm back surfing. I skied in Jackson Hole this winter, and I'm doing every single thing I did before. So again, thank you. Thank you. And G Money, we're going to do a thing today with these amazing people, and that thing is about to happen. And so, peace out from the multiverse, coming from Dallas, G.
Thank you. And thank you, Dr. Tennant, helped me as well. Love you guys. Have a great time, everyone. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Before we get started, I'd like the opportunity to introduce my co-host. Only one of two attorneys to win 2 top 100 national jury verdicts between 2014 and 2016. The only one that's blind. And has spoken on stages like Tony Robbins 15 times, Disney, T-Mobile, and it's an honor and a privilege to be here with you today. And so my co-host, Sean Kelly.
Thank you. And thank you. It sounds like we had the Mouseketeers in the house. That was amazing. But my mission is to cause people to have more freedom by integriously delivering their services and achieving the financial abundance, the time freedom, becoming business owners, not only operators, and the magic, the impact that people want. We had the privilege of raising $2.6 million in 3 hours 2 weeks ago from another friend and partner of mine, Chris Cohn, from his stage. Nobody knew it was a fundraiser. It was not a particularly wealthy room, $2.6 million raised in 3 hours. And so often, like why we call it unblinded is because we believe that like right in front of us are solutions and things, just like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube for how we build, grow, scale business and replicate. And a lot of folks, we just don't learn how to do it. I was an Ivy League undergrad, Columbia University, Seton Hall honors graduate, and we just don't see what we don't see, and we're not taught it. And that's my mission and purpose in the world, is to do exactly that for people. So let's get rocking.
Let's do the
who's
things.
going first?
Let's go with She Fundable, Miss Cheryl Hubbard.
All right, Cheryl. What we do here is Bella will be anybody you want her to be. She'll be an ideal avatar of any sort, ideal client, somebody to potentially fund something, strategic partner, anything that you want. It's about going from hello to yes, not pitch, hook, close, hello to yes, but the ability to open listening, connect at a heart level, which is what true influence and sophisticated dynamics is really all about. So Cheryl, who would you like Bella to be?
Oh, let me pick something really tough since I have people in the room to critique me so that I need some help here. I think I will choose, how about a social media marketing company for an in-kind sponsorship.
Okay.
Nice. Let's do it. Take
All
a
right.
seat. You're in a social media company.
Yeah. Hello, this is Bella.
Hello, Bella. I'm Cheryl Hubbard. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful, Cheryl. How about yourself?
I am doing fantastic, fantastic. Now, you were referred to me by Robin Jones. She's the event coordinator for Beauty Retailers Virtual Summit.
Yeah.
Do you have a few minutes to talk?
I have a little less than 3 minutes.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Fantastic. That's all I need. Robin mentioned to me that you were one of her sponsors and such a fantastic resource for their event in 2019. And you guys were able to achieve, 1,000 female entrepreneurs to that event? Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, about 1,100.
Oh my goodness, how fantastic is that? That's amazing. Usually people don't get, even 500.
Yeah.
So it appears that you definitely have a talent for attracting a female audience. Bella, tell me or help me understand more about your company, maybe something about your community goals and your process for, I guess, picking a company to work with.
Yeah, so we're a digital marketing agency. We primarily work with female-driven businesses, helping them build their social media platform. They do good work in the world, they're vetted, but they just don't really have online presence. And so, we do things like, your Facebook ads, your Google ads, and figuring out which platform between all the different platforms would be best for them.
Okay, great. Glad to hear that. Very diverse group there. Fantastic. Yes. I love to hear that. Well, Bella, recently, I wouldn't even say recently, in the last few years, we have been confronted with so many different challenges, challenges like the Me Too movement. We're still facing a women's wage gap. Okay, racial injustice, COVID came along, the Great Resignation. And from there, women are have been starting their businesses at great numbers here. So companies like you and my company, the leaders have realized that they have to address these challenges a little bit differently, and they have to engage their diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives to go a little bit further than just hiring, to include companies to partner with. Would you agree with that?
I would, yes.
Okay. And right now we're still seeing a whole lot of statistics out there about how well women are doing. $3 trillion in the economy. They're opening businesses at such a great rate. Woo-hoo, the golden age for the women.
Yes, very true.
But what they're not telling us right now is that today women are only receiving 3% of funding to start these businesses.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Wow.
Men are getting 6 times capital than women are.
I missed it. You cut out for just a moment, but that sounded women get 3%, men get what?
6 times more capital to start their businesses than women.
Wow.
And this statistic has not changed in the last 20 years. Wow. So we certainly need to do something to change this. And we need to do it now, okay?
Definitely.
Absolutely. Now, Bella, Robin mentioned to me, like in the last 3 years.
So Cheryl, are you with me?
I am. Yeah.
I got to run right now. However, just really quick, what is it that you're looking for? Because this is definitely interesting to me.
Okay, I was just about to get there. Okay, she mentioned to me that you guys are still engaged in a relationship since that event in 2019.
Yes.
Which I think is a remarkable thing for someone to develop such a sustainable relationship after an event, which is what we're looking for. Now, let me tell you a little bit about She's Fundable. I'm the founder of She's Fundable. Okay. And
yeah, like 10 seconds, Cheryl, because we're already over time and my call is waiting.
We're having an event in November, a 3-day virtual event, and we're looking for a sponsor for that event as well as a partner. Would you be interested in speaking about this a little bit further and seeing how we can align our projects and our community goals together?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Will Monday be fine?
Perfect. Thank you so much, Cheryl.
Ooh, great job, Cheryl.
All right, next up we have.
That's my challenge. I don't do that. So you guys.
It's phenomenal. Yeah. Phenomenal.
Awesome job, Cheryl. And we'll talk more to the judges in a second. Who's going next?
Next we have Carolyn.
Carolyn, who would you like Bella to be?
Oh, good Lord.
She could be the good Lord.
Yeah.
In fact, Carolyn, I think often she's pretty good.
Let's have Bella be the public.
The public?
The public.
Like a member of the public generally?
Sure, she can be a member of the public, but I think that's who my message is for, I think overall. That's who I'm sort of speaking to.
Okay, so you're Jane Q Public.
Jane Q Public.
All
right.
Because I want to know Jane Q Public actually is concerned and cares about these things. It's sort of my message. So I want to talk to you a bit about the family law system and see if you sort of understand what's going on. Are you aware that at present we are at a very significant deficit in the state of New Jersey with respect to the judges? We are down 62 judges in New Jersey in in a system that generally has a full complement of well over 300 judges, and that as a result, most of the judges are moved out of the family part of the system and into the other parts, because that is sort of how the powers that be determine where we need to place those, place our resources. And so that leaves families and parties getting divorced, children largely without resources to resolve issues of conflict, children being placed by the division outside of their homes, victims of domestic violence who are seeking orders of protection with pretty significant delays in how they are treated or in how their issues are resolved. And even when those parties get their issues addressed by the court, that other issues involving sort of divorce are therefore left at the wayside, which means that if you are seeking to get divorced in the system and perhaps your spouse is engaging in financial strangulation, you may or may not be able to get a decision or be able to address those issues for a substantial period of time. That leaves you sort of at wit's end and not able to get a resolution and potentially facing bankruptcy and other issues. Yeah. And there are ways that those issues can be resolved by addressing the need for these judges through politicians. It's one of the issues, but then there are other ways that things can be addressed in terms of resolving your matters and family, which don't require you to spend all of your money sort of banging your head against the proverbial system and trying to resolve your matter. And are you aware of them? Do you know that there are professionals out there who are prepared to assist, that are prepared
I did not know. No, this has been astonishing to me.
That are prepared to work with you in whether it's in a matter of mediation, who are prepared to come up with ways that are much more creative in terms of resolving, who are certainly aware of the limitations of the system, who are aware of the tactics utilized by people who are going to take advantage of the system, or who are going to try to find alternatives that will get you a resolution so that you can get through your process and so that you can get through to the other side. And if so, are you interested in those resolutions?
I definitely am very interested. I'd love to have a longer conversation for sure.
Well, then I think we should talk.
All right. Thank you so much. It's been so enlightening, and thank you so much.
Carol, awesome. And I mean, that's crazy. So what, Carolyn, you're sharing is that in light of the current state of affairs, bad actors have the ability to truly gain an upper hand. No, yes?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it's occurring. And it has nothing to do with COVID.
Wow. Well, that is.
I mean, that's the sad part, Sean. I mean, you know, it's interesting. I know a little about you. We were in law school together, and I know a little about you and your background. And so, you know, and I applaud you for having started your own firm and finding a better way to do what you do. And it's sort of what I wanted, you know, what I wanted to do and what I sort of did in my very own small way. But, you know, it's gotten to be very difficult in this arena. And now that we are down 62 judges and they continue to move things, you know, we now experience families where children are cutting themselves, and we can't get them relief. And so,
and Carol, you know, why is this? Like, I'm not
because politicians make the decisions about how we get judges appointed, and then once we do have judges even though we then get to say, yay, we have more judges, they promptly get moved out of family.
Unbelievable. Well, Carolyn, it is an honor to have you here today. I know you're a leader and your heart is clearly present. I mean, all over our listening of you is how much you genuinely care about this. And that is you know, the world of Unblinded. I mean, I'm not saying we have an immediate solution, of course, in any regard, but we care about how we solve big problems in the world. And this sounds like a very big problem. And thank you for caring about it. Thank you for your leadership. I have no question you spend great amounts of your time and energy on causing this to be better. And so really thank you for all that you do.
Thanks.
Thank you. So let's go to the judges and see what they have to share about their thoughts on Cheryl and Carolyn, please.
Yeah, so we're going to do judges, Jesse, John, and Carrie, 30 seconds of feedback for Cheryl and Carolyn, something that they did great, and then maybe something that they could optimize, and then a score of 1 to 10. 1 being you would rather go to the dentist and have a root canal with no Novocaine than have a longer conversation. 5 being if they bought you like a mocha chocolate latte with like caramel sauce and whipped cream and a cherry on top, you'd probably meet them at Starbucks. And 10 being you would fly anywhere in the world on a private jet just to have a longer conversation. So let's start with Jesse, your 30 seconds of feedback for Cheryl, please.
Sure. Cheryl, I thought you did a good job of kind of trying to lay out the facts and circumstances. I probably would have led more with your statistic at the end than go to the story at the beginning. That's probably kind of where I would get, because that's, I think, what you're trying to drive across at the end of the day was that conclusion to get that next meeting. So I would probably lead more at the beginning than at the end. That's kind of my 10 seconds of feedback for that.
Beautiful. And your score for Cheryl is?
7.
Awesome. And how about your 30 seconds of feedback for Carolyn?
Carolyn, I thought you did a great job of kind of laying out the facts and circumstances of like what the issue is. And then it's just a matter of trying to your point of what can be done to, you know, get the public involved and knowledgeable to lead to change. Because at the end of the day, there's not much that can be done without knowledge to be shared. So I think getting it out there so that people kind of know what's going on would be truly beneficial for people that are going through that situation.
Beautiful. And your score for Carolyn is?
An 8.
An 8. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yes. Let's go to Carrie Blanks. How about Carrie? Let's start with Carolyn this time. Your 30 seconds of feedback for Carolyn.
So I'll obviously super knowledgeable and super passionate, and that comes across. What I would have loved to see, Carolyn, was you putting it into a story to influence someone else. Like, give us specific, like you can anonymize it, right? Don't tell us that Jane went through this, but, you know, let's call her Jane. And this is how it affected her. Have you had friends, Stephanie, that have also gone through this? If so, this is your time to do something about it. And maybe that personalization, because the story itself is passionate, but really digging in would be better, I think.
Beautiful. And your score for Carolyn is?
8.
8. Awesome. And your 30 seconds of feedback for Cheryl?
Also very passionate, very knowledgeable, which was great. I think you have to make sure you're reading the person you're trying to influence. Obviously, she was trying to push you on the time. So your story is not as important in this conversation as the story you're telling about what it is you want her to do and what it is you're doing. So I think just make sure you're focusing in on that. And in this particular case, you're just trying to get a next meeting. So you don't need to tell her everything. You just give her the stats and say, based on these stats, are you passionate enough about this to talk again, right? And then you'll have more time later.
Great feedback. And your score for Cheryl is?
I would do an 8 as well.
Awesome.
Thank you, Carrie.
Yes. And Mr. John Gallardi, I don't want to get in trouble with any like mafia connections or anything. So no. I didn't say
So John, I am part Italian, and Bella thinks that everybody from New Jersey who's Italian is in The Sopranos. So
that's
yes.
So not true.
All right.
But I did have the privilege of telling her that my grandmother's side, we are Lancelotti, and that my grandmother once took the numbers receipts and put them in her bra when the house got raided. And that's a true story.
It's very true. All right. Mr. Gallardi, how about your 30 seconds of feedback? We'll start with Carolyn.
It's tough in a short period of time to really try to put that hook into somebody to say, this is interesting. But I thought she did a great job. I think that maybe personalizing makes it a little bit of some sense as far as maybe I know someone or myself. Oftentimes it's not yourself, it's somebody that you know, and you say, maybe, get these two people together. So maybe a little more personalized, maybe an experience that she was able to help somebody out.
Beautiful. And your score for Carolyn is?
I would say an 8.
Nice. And how about your 30 seconds of feedback for Cheryl?
Similar, I think, to some extent. I think that, again, a short period of time, it's very tough to get something that somebody could relate to. So probably less and maybe getting some more interaction with the person that she's speaking to see if there's an opportunity to maybe try to help.
Beautiful. And your score for Cheryl is?
I would say the same. I thought they both did a great job. I would say.
Yeah, beautiful. John, awesome. Excellent job. Here's what we're doing now. This amazing woman to my left, who Doc and everyone claims to care about me, but every day she likes to hit me with massive uncertainty. And she puts me on the proverbial hot seat, which of course, Cheryl and Carolyn so graciously stepped into to get some feedback. And she wants to make sure that I had that experience every day since we're inviting fine folks on here like yourselves. P.S. This is our 550th show. We lost count slightly. So it's somewhere between 540 and 560, but we'll go 550-ish. And we've had more than 3,300 people now who've been on the Real Raw since its inception, like yourself when COVID began, which is an extraordinary gift from accountants, attorneys, financial services providers like yourselves, to entrepreneurs of all sorts, to professional athletes, best-selling authors, medical providers, et cetera. So thank you for that. And in front of all of them, I have to do this incredibly challenging thing every day. So boss, if it's okay with you, I thought we'd give these fine folks 3 options. One option is they could put any scenario in front of me, political, complex, whatever they want in the world. They could choose anything. Of course, they're up to them. A second possibility is that I would be Dr. Tennant, and that I would speak into the dynamic of somebody with a health challenge who's been told by traditional medical science, or not even with a health challenge, that, all this other holistic stuff is kind of wackadoo. Let's not worry about it. And I would be Dr. Tennant to speak into that. Third, I could be, let's say Aaron Judge and negotiating with the Yankees and his new contract, who missed the window to negotiate with him, or anything you guys want. So I will let you take it from here and tell me.
How about you choose a number between 1 and 5?
I will choose my high school baseball number 4.
Number 4. So that would be Miss Cheryl Hubbard. So Cheryl, you get to set the scenario, anything you choose, anything that Sean said, or you can pass it to somebody else. So what scenario would you like?
Okay. I can choose anything.
You can choose anything. As long as it's integrous.
Yeah. Like
so we're not like selling swampland in the middle of New York City or anything.
No, how about a something I come across all the time, and one day may address that issue as well. People that have disabilities like yourself, how do they create businesses, who are really locked out of corporate America, create businesses for themselves and build a life that they love?
Ooh. Okay, so how about this? I'll be me, and then I'll be communicating with someone who's got a disability. Mm-hmm. Is that what I'm hearing, Cheryl? And I'll be okay. Yes. Would you like to be that person with a disability, or would you like to assign that to one of the other participants?
Let me assign it to Mr. John.
Ooh, okay. And what disability would John have?
Chronic pain.
Amazing. All right. So this could combine a few things. This is fun and extraordinary. So great job, Cheryl. John, are you up for this, sir?
I could try, sure.
Okay. So you have chronic pain, and we'll let your name still be John. You're not yourself, right? You're just in a tough spot. And, let's say that you're 30 years old and you have this chronic pain situation. And sound good?
Sure.
Awesome. Hey, so John, thanks so much for having a conversation. Sean Callaghan here. Is it still a good time to chat for 3 minutes or so?
Sure.
Yeah. And John, listen, I'm very confident. I know we're connected by some folks that love and care about you a bunch. I'm very confident that this is a conversation you may not want to even be having. So I really appreciate you taking the time, and I can assure you, I'm only here to serve you. Does that sound like a fair agreement?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Yes. So John, I heard you're dealing with chronic pain. I'm hearing that you've hit a place in life where it seems really difficult to think of what it's going to look like from here. You're having some meaningful economic challenges, pain challenges. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. And can you give me a sense of like what a day in your life feels like?
I guess having chronic pain would take away from just basic focus on whatever job, family. It would take away focus, and performance would not be there.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that. And that is got to be unbelievably debilitating, not only physically, mentally, emotionally. And how about at this point, when you think about your future, like, can you see any future? If you had a future and had all your way, if any, like, what would that look like, John?
Well, the future, I guess, would be that managing through pain so that, there's some quality of life and some normalcy.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you get beyond some quality of life, if you had the wildest dream you could ever think of,
right,
what would life look like? And that,
be back to prior to it starting.
Awesome. Well, I'm hearing your heart. I'm hearing a little flicker of hope. Maybe even a little bit more than a flicker. Would it be okay, John, if I shared a little bit about me in a final minute or so to see if it makes sense to have a longer conversation?
Sure.
Okay. So again, my name is Sean Callaghan. And John, when I came out of college, it was a heartbreaking situation because I hoped to want to play professional baseball as a 4-year Division I starter at Columbia University, captain my senior year. And as I was there, I had a debilitating degenerative hereditary eye disease that took my ability to play professional baseball. And I sat there on June 1st, 2nd, 3rd of 1992 with no identity into my future. When I was at Columbia, I didn't party. I didn't, go after people of the opposite sex. I didn't do drugs, and not judging anybody who does. I just worked my tail off for baseball. And I also didn't study a whole bunch. So I graduated Columbia with around a 3.0. I didn't go to class very much, but I was the last guy in the gym, first guy in the gym, last guy out of it. And I was a baseball player, and that's why I was there. So when that identity changed for me, I had no hope. I had no thought. I had no idea. And then I decided to go to law school. Now, when I went to law school, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go blind. But at least I'm going to be able to support my family because I'll be able to earn a living. What I didn't know is they didn't put on the brochure at law school that that's not exactly how it works. So I got a job at a very prestigious law firm, but I was $100,000 in debt from law school. And I looked people who were 10 years, 15 years, 20 years my senior, knowing I was going blind. I was like, I can't live their life because they were still not financially free. They were still paying off student loans. But I noted that a couple of people there were very free financially. Now, I don't think money is the whole deal, but I think money gives us the ability to choose things. I think time freedom gives us the ability to choose things. And I wasn't seeing a pathway of money or time freedom. So I decided to figure out how life and business really work. And I went on a mission and I said, you know what, I'm either going to go broke and be blind, but at least I'll have tried, or I could live a life of quiet desperation forever and stay where I am and see what happens. So I quit my job. I started my own law firm, 6 months out of law school. People told me I was absolutely insane. Not the first time, and it will not be the last time. And what I found and discovered, brother, is that even though I was going blind, there was an unbelievable pathway to build things. So I'm not in chronic pain, and I wasn't in chronic pain, and my heart breaks for it. But I am blind, and I'm one of only 2 attorneys in the country out of 1.2 million to have 2 top 100 national jury verdicts. I built a platform of a 125 person law firm. I have the privilege of speaking on stages all over the world. And it's not because I am smarter. It's not because I'm more hardworking. But what it is there's a science to do this. And if any of this resonates, what I would propose to you, John, is that I would offer you the ability to come into our Unblinded program as my guest because of your disability. Now, I'm going to tell you something, brother. I've offered that to a lot of people with disabilities. Very few people take me up on it. So what I don't want to do is I'm not talking you into this. What I'm proposing to you is we have an hour-long conversation and see if I'm right for you and Unblinded is right for you as our guest, and that you're right for me, because what I don't, this isn't charity. And I don't want to invest time in something that's not going to be valuable for you. I know it's valuable, but valuable to you. I know it'd be valuable for you, but if it would be valuable to you. And within our program, we have people like the Tenant Institute, where extraordinary people are here who might actually, no promises, but who might actually be able to help you in ways that traditional medical science can't. In fact, Dr. Tennant saved my life. His devices and tools that his family has created are unbelievable, recognized by some of the most successful entrepreneurs on the planet, including Tony Robbins, with full endorsement. And if you don't know Tony and you think he's a motivational speaker, he's coached 4 presidents. He coached the Golden State Warriors this year in winning their NBA championship, and has worked with some of the smartest, most brilliant people. His standard is absolute brilliance or out. And he's an enormous proponent of Dr. Tennant's work. So if any of that resonates, we should have an hour-long conversation about, let me repeat, it isn't charity. I'm not chasing you. I love you unconditionally with boundaries. I want to see you have a different life and a possibility. But if that flicker is there, I'd be willing to invest an hour. Would you, John?
Sounds amazing.
All right, brother. Well, let's do that thing. And my heart is present. I'm so sorry for what you're going through. But let's have a conversation. Okay. Out of roll, John, how did that feel for you?
Incredibly inspiring.
Thank you, sir. And I love hearing that from you, because the way I receive you is you are a no-nonsense, direct human being with a big heart, but no-nonsense direct. So thank you for that feedback, because I receive it with gratitude.
Yeah, incredible.
Thank you. Cheryl, thank you for the scenario. How did you feel about that scenario?
Thank you. I loved it. Actually, I took some notes here. So about the approach. So I'm like, oh, I'm adding this. Okay. One being the way that you approached him with asking questions to make him emotionally engage in that conversation. So, you know, and with me, I would have left out a lot of the stats and actually emotionally reach that person instead to get them into the story. And then you closed it. So I loved it. I love the approach.
Yeah, I love that. And I would change only one word, and I thank you. And I wouldn't be Integris and wouldn't be me. We affirmatively teach against pitching, hooking, and closing. And what we call the final completion of a conversation would be agreement formation with integrity. So that's all. But thank you. And I know that you are a person of immense integrity. That is clear, and selflessness. We love your mission. And thank you, Cheryl, for being on the Real Raw today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Carolyn, how was your experience here with us today?
It was good.
All right. So how did you feel about the scenario? What was present for you?
In terms of my scenario, in terms of what you just said?
In terms of how we role played that with John.
Yeah, no, I thought that was great. I like the approach. I like the way that it was. I like the idea of it's not charity. I think when I talked with Drew, I just said, you know, I understand that I'm coming to it as an attorney, and I do this all the time, and I have the same conversations with potential clients, people who need assistance and otherwise, and I have the same approach to it, that it's not charity, and it's going to have to work both ways. And you know, I'm either going to be able to assist you or not, and we're either going to move this forward, or you know, and maybe I'm going to be able to coach you, or you know, I'm not. But you know, I'm not. I don't truly believe time is money, and time is a precious commodity. So, if I can be of assistance, I will be of assistance. And I literally just had this conversation with my board and one of the organizations I'm involved with, because you know, to me, you know, it's not, there's no I in team. It can't just be me.
Absolutely. Listen, Carolyn, yeah. And Carolyn, take it from my heart, as somebody who's worked with some of you know, the most well-known charities in the country and corporations, that if people aren't willing to approach things from a different perspective, nothing is going to change. Nothing. Right. And so I'm hearing a woman. This is what I'm hearing, and I could be wrong, who has such passion and vision, and is having a little bit of challenge and friction in different aspects of things, causing other people to step up in the same way. Am I hearing you correctly?
Yeah, no, it's true. Awesome. And so, you know, and so part of that, listen, part of that is a challenge, I think, overall. And I said this to Drew. I mean, I applaud you. I hope that in what you do, you gain traction in certain areas with lawyers. I think that lawyers are a very stubborn bunch. And listen, you are a lawyer, but you chose a different path. You very quickly.
You can be stubborn sometimes too.
Yeah, but you very quickly. But that it served you, Sean. So you very quickly recognized it, pivoted, and did what you needed to do. But you still know who we are, and you know how this works. So I talk to many all the time. I've talked to those who are frustrated in what they want to do and whether they want to go out and what they have to recognize. But many don't understand the business of law.
Yeah, well,
they understand law.
Yeah,
they don't understand the business of law.
There's a lot more to talk about. I'm hearing a visionary is who I'm hearing from right now. So certainly more to talk about. And thank you, Carolyn. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go, Jesse. Thank you for being here. How was your time with us in the Real Raw today, Jesse?
It was awesome. Yeah, I really like the end there, because I think, you know, you led with questions to kind of be able to respond and get personalized. And I think that really is the key, is listening, to be able to kind of understand the scenario. And if you just spout your opinions without understanding where it might be coming from, you could be going completely wrong angle and turn somebody off right away. So building up that empathy and be able to understand where somebody's coming from or what they're trying to get to, I think it's just so vital and really important. And sometimes, like, we go into a conversation, think we want to get our point across, but the best thing we could probably do is listen first and then be able to respond and get there.
Jesse, incredibly poignant feedback. Thank you for being here today. We appreciate you.
No, I appreciate the invite. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Carrie, wonderful job. I loved your feedback as judge. How was your time with us today?
Great. And I also appreciate the invitation. I love the idea of, like, just trying to complete the conversation instead of the hook and the close. I think, you know, having been in sales for a lot of years of my life, you know, you're kind of, that's in your head all of the time. And in my role now as a partnership manager, it really is just more about having a conversation and making sure that my CPAs know what's out there, right? And doing what's best for them. And it's been quite a transition for me to do that. But I love that thought process in it. And that because a lot of times your heart is in the right place. It's just not coming out the way that it necessarily should, right? In conversation. So I think changing your mindset around that is great. So I appreciate hearing all of that today and hearing you do your role play.
Thank you very much. And Carrie, thank you for being here. We appreciate you very much as well. And John, again, thank you for jumping in to that participant seat in the role play. How was your time with us, John?
Yeah, no, it was not knowing what you're getting yourself into. This was really good. This was eye-opening. It was great.
Well, appreciate that, John. And for all of us, as we draw to a pause in a moment, the work is available. My passion for 25 years has been, how does business, particularly in service business, professional licensees in extra particular, how does that all work for human beings? And I've watched people suffer in a capitalist structure forever and not quite getting to escape velocity. And I had that privilege. And maybe I was blessed because I was going blind, so I had an extra degree of urgency, but I studied and I learned and studied. And people that were once, heroic, distant figures that I read their books, now call me friend, and I call them friend. People like Tony Robbins and Jay Abraham. Jack Canfield has actually purchased this program. Professional athletes. It's been a remarkable journey. And I'm just some guy that failed freshman high school geometry for the year. I'm somebody that ate lunch in my car by myself most of my sophomore year at Columbia University because I wasn't appreciating how some of the guys were approaching alcohol, drugs, and other things in the baseball team. And for all of us, I truly believe that the results are right there. But we joke, we usually close the show with this, but I'll say we end the show with this, of we're all blind and just learning to see. But I truly believe that. And Dr. Tennant, who stepped away, we're gonna have dinner in just a few minutes, Dr. Tennant figured stuff out that other people couldn't figure out. And it's remarkable. And I'd be just lying to you. And my fear of misportrayal I've let go. If you wanna grow and you wanna build and do more, the space we have here on Blinded is the space. We're not expecting you to just believe that, but if you want more and you want to grow and you want to create more freedom and scale and impact, talk to Adam, Fernando, people on the team, come to a Monday night where we're going to talk about how to do that. We had lawyers, accountants, financial service providers from big firms, big places last night. And they were like, what is this? And by the end of last night, they were mind blown. So we introduce what we're doing. We play with the superpower of influence, get some feedback, add some value, connect you with each other. That's what we do in the Real Raw. The next step, if something resonates here, is to have a complimentary strategy session and come to a Monday night. And do we want to work with you? Yeah, of course we want to work with you because we know what we're doing. And I believe in my heart that people get hurt all the time. And as Carolyn said, time is a precious commodity. It is absolutely precious. And I see people randomly network, join networking groups, and get hurt so bad. I see them step into positions of leadership with associations and organizations and not get what they think is going to happen, not cause the impact they desire, and not have it affect their business the way they hope it would. And this is something, again, 2.5 decades. I humbly submit there's no one who understands these principles at a higher level in the world than I do. It's a bold proclamation. Come to a Monday night and see if it's true or not. Monday night is not like this. We actually start talking about how you're building, growing, scaling. What do you use your influence for? What are the greatest fears that you have? And I'm talking super high level folks, professionals are mind blown. So love to do that. But if not, we thank you for your time because you've joined a group of more than 3,500 people now who've been here. And this woman started here on the show. That's how we met. She thought I was nuts. She thought she knew everything.
I thought pretty much it was 2 years ago that I came on this show, and I came on as a participant knowing I was going to win. I've been in sales, as they shared, since I was 18 years old. And I had a staffing agency where I trained and staffed salespeople. So I was like, I knew I was going to win the competition. And then I signed up for the program and I was like, really, I'm only signing up so that I could teach them what I know and how they can make their program so much better. And she's not kidding. No, I'm definitely not kidding.
It was the most difficult, crazy, I don't talk to anybody to come into the program. I'm saying with great humility, we have a team that does that. I actually ended up on the phone with her for 2 hours after she talked to everybody else. You have to talk to Bella.
Yes. That is exactly what it looked like. So I was like, I want to make sure this is how it goes. And it was, within a couple of weeks, I came to a live event and my mind was blown because there's a difference between sales and influence. And what I learned here was influence, and not just any influence, but the heart of influence. There's nobody in the world, as a matter of fact, Tony Robbins, whether you like him or not, in a room full of 300 people with his hand on Sean's heart said, there is no one who leads with more heart and more integrity than Sean Callaghan. And it's true. There's nobody that cares and leads more. And that is a person of influence that now has a formula to duplicate how to be a person of influence than Sean and the work we do here at Unblinded.
Yeah.
So back to you.
That's the truth. We thank you for being here. And the truth is that you served, you contributed, you added value to people in the world today by being here. Very, very thankful for you. We hope there's more. If there's not, we wish you all the best in the world, because I am absolutely certain that while I am blind, I know that we're all blind in certain ways.
And just learning to see. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you. Have a great day.